Hello, welcome to this episode of Bright Ideas. I am Jess Duemig. I'm here today with Matt Wolff. Matt runs the Ticket Time Machine. Hi, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad we were able to get on the recording today because I think it's been probably a long time coming. We haven't actually met in person, but we're always engaging on LinkedIn and social media. So it's really cool to finally meet you, so to speak.
And then soon live at some event somewhere.
Yeah, we'll find one for sure. We just found out in a little bit of a pre chat that we are basically both from the same area down in South Florida. So that's kind of a fun little tie there.
Yeah, love it down here.
Yeah. Are you from there originally?
No, from New Jersey. Went to
Okay.
school in Gainesville. That's why everything's orange and blue. And moved down to South Florida afterwards.
If your life isn't pretty much blue and orange, are you even a Gator? Like, I mean, I feel like you guys are just wearing badges of honor everywhere you go in those colors.
So I mean, the royal blue is always my favorite color. Actually,
Yeah.
growing up in New Jersey, there's Mets and Knicks. I actually grew up a Broncos fan. It's well, I'm going to show you some edited, but these were my two of my first memorabilia ever.
Oh,
So
no
I
way.
was
How
orange and
cute.
blue for a long, long time. That's John Elway. I've always been orange and blue, so it's. I don't think it had any effect on my decision on where to go, but it certainly didn't hurt. And my wardrobe is a lot of blue. It's always been a lot of blue.
That's so funny. I went to grad school at Southern Mississippi, and at the time, I was driving a yellow hatchback Focus, and Southern Miss is black and gold, but more yellow than gold. And people would ask me all the time, "Did you buy that car just because you were coming to Southern Miss?" I was like, "No, but that's a great idea."
The last three of my cars have been blue.
There you go.
Some variation of Gator blue. Were you there when Favre was there?
No, no, I was there years later. I graduated in 2010 from Southern Miss.
Did you watch the Favre documentary? It's interesting.
I haven't watched it yet. I was at Southern Miss the day that Favre signed with the Jets, and I'm a diehard Jet fan. So I was like up and I'm texting, and it came through at like midnight Eastern time. So it was 11 o'clock my time. And I text my dad, I'm calling. He's like, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" Because now, they're on the East Coast. So they're like, "It's midnight. Why is my daughter who's away at school calling me? Who died? What gutter are you in? Did you get arrested?" And so I was like, "Fourth time with the Jets," and he's like, "Cool, good night." I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
Did you
So I
call
was
him at
super
midnight
excited.
when you heard about Rodgers? I mean, they keep signing these
Ugh.
quarterbacks past their prime, maybe.
Let's just not talk about Aaron Rodgers, and we can move on.
But I'm from New Jersey. Most of my friends are either Jets or Giants fans. I'll root. I'm not a fan of the Jersey teams aside from I was the Devils, but I still root for them. I don't know so a lot of people don't understand that you could be not a fan of the team, but you just root for them. But I'm going to say
Right.
that's my team.
Yeah, I think people take fandom to another level. I mean, I'm a diehard Jet fan, and the way you are with your blue, I am most of the time with green. And I went to South Florida for undergrad, so the green just tied.
Right, USF, sure.
I did, yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't ever like growing up in South Florida. I could never even root for the Dolphins. Like I just
Yeah,
like
I
I
hated them before I moved down here. And
yeah.
I'm in the Heat, but I am a Panther and Marlins fan. So
So you
go.
got to be pretty excited about last night's game.
Yeah, that was a show.
What they're up 2-1 now, right?
2-1. Yeah, I mean the way they've been able to handle McDavid, he's maybe the best. I don't know that I've ever seen Gretzky in person. I probably have, but I don't remember it.
Yeah.
I've seen McDavid in person, and it's incredible. What it's like he's not even playing on skates, really.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not a huge hockey fan, although I've been getting into it more and more. I had the opportunity to be the PA announcer for the Lightning over here for one of the games toward the end of the season, and the in-stadium PA. And I mean, hockey in person is fun. I was trying to watch it last night on TV, and I was just like, distracted by everything
If
except
you're
the
not a
hockey.
fan of the teams, I get that. And, and if it's not in overtime and it was a really a blowout and there was just too much fighting, if that's what you want to call it. I don't even know what that was.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't watch it. Typical girl move. I turned it over to Hallmark and I was
There you go.
happy and not on edge. So there's that. So listen, already we're on tangents. This is gonna be a great chat. So tell us more about you, your background, aside from after you moved to Florida, and then, where did Ticket Time Machine come from?
Sure. I grew up in New Jersey, went to a year of community college. I have a twin brother, fraternal, who went to University of Florida right from high school. And I don't know how it happened, but somehow I got in. I didn't deserve it. They would laugh at me today, although they laugh at pretty much everyone today.
Yeah.
Tried to get in, but it got to the University of Florida, and I'm not what you call book smart. I always consider myself street smart.
Okay.
It's not a good studier, not a good test taker, but I enjoyed the conversation and the learning aspect of it. And so when I graduated, I knew I didn't want to be in New York City. And when you grow up in Central Jersey, the options really are get a job in the city. You can't really afford to live in the city, so you have to commute. You know, wake up at 5, get home at 9, wake up at 5. It wasn't for me. So I moved down to Florida, really struggled to get it to find work. That's a big problem down here. Uh,
Yeah.
and it still is, but eventually I got a bunch of jobs that aren't even worth talking about until my dad would always tell me to get into sales. And I always fought it because I thought that if you're in sales, you have to be either pushy or phony or whatever. Eventually, I got my first sales job working for a ticket printing company and realized that you can operate that way. And there's many successful salespeople who operate that way, but you can also operate in other ways that sort of fit my personality. Pleasantly persistent, I would say, attention to detail, follow up. And so I started to do sales and did well. Left the ticket printing company. I was selling something else. The story of Ticket Time Machine is that I was at a Marlins game. Edinson Volquez throws a no hitter, and I collect. I have stuff here. I won't bore you with all my tickets, but I collect tickets and everything from the events that I go to. But it didn't occur to me to even ask for one because they've ingrained the digital ticket. And
Right.
but they announced over the loudspeaker, they said, if you'd like a printed ticket, come to the box office. So I said, this is great. I went there, not a huge line, but there was a number of people there. And when I got up to the window, I said, can you put Edinson Volquez no hitter on there? And they said that they couldn't. And I know that they can because that's the background that I had. And so
Right.
that's where I came up with the idea of Ticket Time Machine. I actually got that ticket graded, and it
Oh,
say
nice.
Edinson Volquez no hitter and birth of Ticket Time Machine. So a couple of things that I take from that day and what happened. The first thing is that it was Mike Stanton, he was Mike Giancarlo Stanton bobblehead that day. If it wasn't the bobblehead, I'm probably not at that game.
Hmm.
And if he doesn't throw a no hitter, I probably don't ask for it. So there's a lot of these factors that sort of
Right.
come into play of just the right time, the right place, chance, whatever you want to call it, that made it happen. Now, might I have started it anyway? Maybe I did go up to a box office for a concert and ask for a ticket, printed ticket, and they wanted to charge me $20, not because they want you to pay $20, because they want you to get in your mind, the printed ticket is gone. So it's possible that I would have done it, but I was working full time, and I said I'm going to do this. I've had a lot of ideas. I've always wanted to try and find something to do on my own, and I had a lot of ideas that I just kind of, once I hit that first roadblock, I just said, all right, it's going to be too hard. You can't. I talked myself
Yeah.
out of it, but with this, I said, I'm going to do this, and it sort of evolved. It started by putting stuff on a ticket, like I was asking, like, this is my first game, or Becky got engaged,
Oh,
stuff like
neat.
that. And it's evolved into more of what we're doing today.
That's super cool. And you brought up a good point that a lot of entrepreneurs, it's the reason most entrepreneurs fail in the first year, right? It gets hard. How did you like what made you push through it with the ticketing side of things?
Well, I mean, part of it was I was really unhappy at my job, full-time job, and I
It's
said,
funny how
yeah,
that nudges you more and more.
but I was tired of. I just felt like this was the idea. It's solving a problem. I'm very passionate about it. It just checked so many boxes to be like I would be dumb to not, really follow through on this. And it's been it's a roller coaster. It's like anyone will tell you who has a business, and we're still not out of the woods. We're not anywhere where we need to be, but I'm definitely optimistic about what we're doing and where we're headed. But it just I know that I think when I thought of the idea that day, I said I'm not going to let any of these roadblocks stop, and you just got to do it because they're going to be. I mean, I still have them today, but you just once you get past it, you're going to realize it probably wasn't as hard as you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, almost like you're kind of the self-doubt creeps in and you're kind of looking for reasons why it shouldn't work, like an excuse to kind of go back to what's comfortable, what's normal, what I should be doing or whatever. I know I come across that a lot more than I'd like to admit, but it's tough and I think, the internal battle sometimes is harder than the external battle.
Yeah, I think. I mean, my confidence is very high that I'll be able to figure out what I need to do, and that doesn't mean I get everything right. You're making mistakes, and you hopefully learn from them and not continue to do them, or you can work smarter and not necessarily harder. I don't. There's always the question of is is this going to work out? Just because it hasn't yet, where you're like, you know, a huge company with all these people working under you, and you're just thinking like, how would that work if I'm going to be that person? You're just like, well, that doesn't seem like something I'll be able to do or something I should be doing. But I don't let that affect me too much. I mean, it's like the same with sales and anything in sales. You get down because you hear so many no's, but you just got to keep pushing through.
Yeah. So, okay, so you launch this business, right? Kind of on the side. You push through these obstacles, these boundaries, these problems, these challenges, whatever. Where does it go from there? Tell us the evolution.
Yeah, so I started to really get unhappy at my job, and it was a good job, and I had done well there, and I had some many good years, but I thought to myself, if I'm going to be successful with this business, I have to go all in. And that means because I can, I was on LinkedIn for my other job, but not really. But I can't, publicly be doing Ticket Time Machine when I have a job and I'm connected to all these people. So I
Right.
said to myself, I got to be available to go to these events because I had gone to a few events. We did Sopranos Con in New
Oh,
Jersey.
cool.
Spoiler alert: the organizers of Sopranos Con were not exactly 100% legit. Who knew?
What?
Who knew that the people running a Sopranos Con would have been that way? But I had done some events, and I had plenty of time off, and you can do that, and you can answer at night. But I think the reality of it is that I needed to be doing it full time, and so I gave my full time job notice, and I told them that April 1, 2020 will be my last day, and then the pandemic hit, which it turned out to actually, I think, be a good thing for us. But April 2020, I started to turn over my LinkedIn and went from 600 connections to it scaled pretty quickly. I think I'm at over 10,000 now. And so
Wow.
I do connect a lot, and I wish I could. There'd be an easier way to maybe remove connections, although I don't think there's really a negative about it. But I wish I would have. I don't know. You have a lot of connections, but you don't really know them, and they don't know you, and they
Yeah.
don't reply, and so it's that number is great. I guess I have a really good network, I would say, and I don't the circle, a network, whatever you want to call it. So, but I had to move all of that over and start and really start to connect and get relationships and learn more. It had been about 7 or 8 years since I was in the ticket printing business, but I leveraged some old relationships to start, and here we are today. Again, still I think we're growing, but we're growing slower than I probably would like. And the good news is that I think there's so much opportunity there that I think it's a matter of time before we'll get where we're going to be. Because, and we also see on the commemorative side, which is there's a lot of people doing stuff like that. I think they're not doing it well, but they're doing it. So it's like a good and a bad. And so it just shows to me that that's where a lot of this is headed.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up your website because I'll cite it for sure, but there's so much noise out there sometimes, and I think that it's very frustrating when you're doing the legit work with the expertise, putting in a lot of really good thought, and then someone else is just like throwing something into Canva and printing it on cardstock, right? Like, I mean, uh, how do you position yourself against some of those guys?
Well, I think it's not good. I use Canva myself. I have a team of very good creative, but I'll use Canva just to get, the ideas going uh,
Hmm.
back and forth. I don't think it's necessarily, sometimes it could be the artwork, but I think it's just the idea. It's selling a commemorative ticket that's really just a piece of paper it's not personalized. The back is blank. I mean, there's a lot of things that I would not do with regards to something for the fan. Um, there's more people doing it on Etsy and Pinterest who are just selling stuff that's real cheap and easy. It's not licensed, so I, I'm looking to be a legitimate company who's going to work with the biggest companies and brands and leagues in the world. So I can't be doing that. Otherwise, if I
Right.
could do whatever I wanted and had no consequence, we'd certainly be able to make more money. But I don't think we wouldn't be a legitimate business, which I feel like we've accomplished when we go to conferences and when I'm talking to people and I'm at the Super Bowl and stuff like that.
What's your most exciting part? Like what part of your business do you really gets you fired up?
I love being at an event, seeing people wearing our stuff.
Hmm.
I've been to Panthers games. We did stuff for the Panthers for the playoffs. That was really cool. Did a bunch of stuff for the Savannah Bananas, and I've been at those games and even just walking around at the trade shows when we print badges, and especially if it's a really unique badge where you say, well, what do you do? And then you just hold up the badge and you show them like this is here, this is what we do.
Yeah, it's super cool. So where did the name Ticket Time Machine come from? Like how did that come to life?
That's a great question. I mean, I was working with a graphic designer, and I've been asked this before. I don't know exactly who came up with it might have been him, it might have been me. We were definitely talking and throwing things back and forth, and he came up with the logo, which is it's got a couple Easter eggs in it that some people know, some people don't. But it just was the idea of because when I was when I came up with the idea for Ticket Time Machine, a lot of it was to be in the past. Like, hey, you went to a game, you want it to be personalized, let me know. We'll be able to do that. But really, a lot of it is in the future events and the events that are going on now. So that's where the time machine comes into play. And if you look on the logo, if you look closer, the T's on each of them have an arrow pointing forward and backward, and then there's a thing right there that if you know, you know.
Well, I don't know. Tell me.
It's a flux capacitor from Back to the Future.
That would have been my guess. So it
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense. I love that with the arrows going both ways. And it's funny you bring it up because I think time machine, I always think about going back to the past, not even thinking about going to the future, to be honest. So I love that
well,
it
that's
does
why
go
it's called
both
Back
ways.
to the Future.
Yeah, no, I know, but it's that's very cool.
One of my
Um,
favorite movies too. So we can when you can include anything that's really part of your favorite. with regards to the company, it's always good to get that in.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love that about working in sports. I feel like there's so much iconic stuff, and I say that I know you just were talking about obviously major pop culture, but with sports, I feel like it's so open to nostalgia, right? It's the game you went to way back that got you hooked, and or the movie or the whatever. And I feel like with theme days and all that cool stuff that goes on now at sporting events, it's it's not the Titanic day, right? It's not the Inside Out 2 day at the ballpark. It's stuff from the 80s, it's stuff from the early 90s. And I guess that's maybe the cycle of who's involved. But anytime you can put what you called it perfectly, an Easter egg into anything, it makes it more fun.
Yeah, I love pop culture, and there's a guy. His name is Matthew. Also, he is called Two Thangs, TWOTHANGS, and he is an artist who will put any two things together and paint you this, unique photo painting, and he actually copies it and sells it. That's why he's able to sell it to you for a little bit cheaper. But I have one on my wall of Seinfeld and Family Guy, two of my favorite shows, all in one. It's so yeah, I think pop culture, sports, entertainment, movies, music, they all kind of blend in together, and I'm a big fan of all of it.
Yeah. So what's your favorite project that you've done to date?
Phew. I mean, the stuff that we did for the bananas was good for the K Club, where you had lanyards and a foil badge that was pretty cool, and a pin. Just to be able to. I wish I could have seen people open it, but I did see people walking around with it when I was at the game. But I worked. We've done a job a few jobs with the Florida Gators, and hope to do more with that. Obviously, anytime you could do something with the Gators, and we've done work with the Florida Panthers. But there's been some other cool jobs at Four Chord Music Festival. We do. This will be our fifth or sixth year working for them. This was the first year. Rishi,
Oh,
the
cool.
organizer of Four Chord, um, he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. He's always fun to work on his ticket with or badge. It's generally for VIP, but he does sell some of them. And we actually did some of my favorite things that I've worked on are stuff that didn't even come to fruition. We do a lot of proof of concepts where we put together a mock proof. We did stuff for the Back to the Future musical, which they didn't use, but they actually
Mm.
did something that was not very good. College football playoff stuff we put together, FIFA. So it's been fun. Something for Deion Sanders for his inaugural game that we
Oh,
didn't get.
nice.
I'm hoping to be able to do something for Michael Vick and Deshaun Jackson's inaugural games. But it's just fun to work on. When we work on a project and they don't already have the artwork, and I get to sort of give my say on what I think it should look like, and then my creative team kind of just does the rest. Those are a lot of fun. And it's probably 50-50. I mean, there's a lot of time people just say, here's our artwork. They have art people, they know what they want. But those are fun projects to work on.
Yeah. So when you're building a business in sports, right? Because a lot of the people who are watching this are either your customers or people looking to get into the industry in different ways, right? When you're building this in sports, right, there's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of, you mentioned licensing earlier. What were some of the biggest challenges for you aside from like the roadblocks, but what were you straight up against where you had to make a very pivotal decision?
Yeah, well, I mean, the licensing is one, so that's not really a decision to make, but it's something that you're aware of that you need to try and navigate through. So I found out very early that the licensing uh, avenue was not it's not for me. There's a lot of reasons for it. The customer doesn't get as good a product. The person who owns the brand doesn't get as much of the money, and I can't sell as much, even though as someone else can sell there. So there's just a lot of reasons why it's not the right thing. Um, you know, being the new kid on the block, there's companies that have been around for a long time who have these relationships, and they're very hard to, you know, to take their jobs and their opportunities. That's the biggest thing. The people who didn't know who I am, and even now that they do know who I am, but I'm not an approved vendor for Major League Baseball. Or how do you get to do that? Well, it's easier if you're doing stuff for the teams. Well, how do you get to do it for the teams? Well, you got to be an approved vendor. So we've been very lucky to be able to do some projects for professional teams like the Panthers. It's actually been hockey. We did stuff for the Utah Hockey Club on the retail side that went in the arena store for their inaugural game and inaugural season. So that's the toughest. And then the other thing is just trying to figure out who it is you're supposed to even be talking to.
Yeah.
You can reach out. You have an educated guess. Could it be ticketing? I guess it could be. Sometimes it's marketing, it's operations. So I don't. There's no one set person to be reaching out to. And then from that, if you don't hear back from someone, I don't know if that's the right person or not. Or you can get a
Right.
note from someone who wasn't the right person. So it's probably very similar to a lot of other things. And it's sports, it's entertainment. These, you got these huge companies. Who do you talk to? There's got 15 vice presidents of fan experience.
Yeah.
But I think the good thing about this is, generally speaking, there's always going to be another season, another event, another game, um, another tournament, another conference. So there's always opportunity in the future. I don't look at it as a no. I look at it as it not now, not this year, and say what can we do to try and do better. And some of it's just a waiting game. I mean, we've lost some jobs, some due to no fault of our own, and someone else got a chance to do it, and so that's disappointing when you do right by someone and don't get a chance to have the conversation. So I see it on the other end. There's someone there who's been doing something for them. I believe we can do it better, and for a lot of different reasons, and just hopefully get the chance to do it. But it's a lot of it's a waiting game. But trying to figure out who to talk to and getting them to respond, I think is the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I find it to be very convoluted, and I think it's very convoluted on purpose, right? Even just internal versus external, when you're in the college scene of operations, it makes a lot of sense once you know, but for someone coming in who doesn't know, I mean, there's so many different people doing not very well described, like their titles and what they do don't tie very well
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, I
And
think they also don't communicate. There's not a
yeah.
lot of good internal communication, which doesn't help when you're on the outside trying to figure something out.
Yeah. So I've always known you as more on the commemorative side, right? So talk us through your whole thing, because you're talking about the badges, you're talking about really cool custom stuff, obviously where you started with the very straightforward tickets, but talk us through all of what you offer, because I think there's maybe, I mean, if I was confused on it, I mean, I think that there
Yeah.
could be some room there.
We started out as wanting to be the commemorative ticket company, and then realized, well, we don't have permission to do all the commemorative stuff. So we still do work on commemorative stuff. Like here is a ticket that we commemorated the inaugural game of Pitbull Stadium for FIU.
Oh,
But
nice.
we do a lot of other stuff for events where it could be all access passes, it could be media passes. These are golf bag tags for the ESPYS, and we're doing another working on
Rob,
another one this year for the ESPYS. Rob Riggle's the best.
he's so funny.
Joel McHale is on this year's. I don't know. I'm sure it's not a spoiler alert for anyone who's talking to. But lanyards, and then just basic event. This is nothing's fancy about this, but it's an event badge. So we do event badges. This is synthetic, and we have laminated badges and stuff with foil and just a little bit of everything. Oh, this is a badge, a name badge
Oh, neat.
for just a conference. Um,
Yeah.
this is laminated, and then we have plastic, and then you have wristbands, and then you do stuff like this. That's tickets for the actual game. You don't do as many of those, but we do have the ability to barcode and not. And there's a lot of these events, like here's something we did for Dale Murphy has like a camp, a camper type thing.
Cool.
Simple stuff like that. So it could be any name badges, credentials, laminates, wristbands, lanyards. We have specialty products as well where we can do. And I just did one of these for my friend who had this is an acrylic frame. So you
Oh,
put the
neat.
picture on there and you can put whatever you want, and it's magnetic, so we can put a ticket inside of there. So really, stuff for the fans. That's really why I started the company. I'm a fan. I like stuff like this. This is the type of stuff I want to buy when I go to an event to be able to remember it. And then of course the old school tickets that we have that, if you want something from a game you went to and you want to, personalize it, like I said, we get some. This is my first concert, my first game. We got engaged here. It's an anniversary. This was, my favorite player's debut or first hit or anything like that. But yeah, that's what we do. A lot of badges, and we end up doing a lot of badges for the events that are, they don't necessarily have to give you access as like a touch, right, or for RFID, but we
Hmm.
do RFID and we barcode and all that. But a lot of times it's just a simple badge like this, or sometimes it could be an animated badge if you want something nice. I think it's ripe for sponsors, and new and unique
Yeah.
assets for them to be involved with that. I think a lot of people keep these regardless of what they look for, what they look like, but certainly if they look great, you're going to get people who want to keep it. And so, it's these are the type of keepsakes that I think people want, that they might buy.
Yeah.
This was for the inaugural game of the Utah Hockey Club.
That's super
But
cool.
also, if you just go, this is a Super Bowl event that I went to, just sort of a networking party event, and it's just nice to have something like this, especially when it
Yeah.
has your name on it, and people like to show that off, where they have, it's almost I liken it to the medals of people who are doing half marathons and Ironmans. They have their medals all hanging. These people have their lanyards, and even
Yep.
some of the most famous people who've been to ridiculous events have, their lanyards and their credentials. They've kept them. Um,
Totally. I
because
know
it's a
it well.
memory.
It absolutely is. I laugh because I'm in the middle of moving right now, and we're packing up my apartment and find box after box after box of lanyards
That's
and hard cards, and it's just like, man, some
that's a
of them.
great time to figure out what you have. I have that here, and I probably should go through and sort of organize it, some of them in some way. But it's a good way. Yeah, I mean, look, tickets are worth money. I mean, I don't collect it for that, but there's a big a contingent of fanatic, and these are the most fanatical people you'll ever meet, of actual ticket collectors. And now, if a player makes a debut, their ticket to that game, if it got you in, selling for $100, just like that. Guy
Yeah,
made his debut, never did anything. hundred
right.
dollars you could sell a ticket for. It's crazy.
I mean, I can see it in a whole new world of NIL. I mean, I could see that going bonkers with these athletes kind of calling out their own achievements, whatever they are. Could be very, very
Yeah, we're
interesting.
we're trying to work in the NIL space. Have talked to some people. We're working on a big name in college athletics. We've talked to in the past. The issue with that for me is we're not. I mean, I'm not Tops. I'm not Upper Deck. I'm not Nike. I can't throw money at someone. So what I
Right.
can do is offer them a really cool product for them to offer to other people, and you could actually get someone else who wants to be a part of that. So
Right.
that's what we're hoping to do, where we can sell some stuff. It's not going to, I just heard the pitcher for Texas Tech got $1 million. Like, it's not going to move the needle like that, but don't you want your fans to have something that's pretty cool about what, I mean, just so many shirts you can buy and wear, and posters. So
Totally.
it's like a trading card. It's a collectible. It's not really, it's more of a, it's more of like what we want to do is like a trading card ticket. It's almost like Tops Now, but for moments that actually deserve something special. Not, Tops Now every week comes out. Like I saw they once did a CFL quarterback threw for 3 touchdowns. I'm like, well, that happens every week in any football league.
Right.
Why do we need to commemorate that? They're just selling it because they can. They have people who want to buy it, and it costs them nothing to print, and then they'll autograph one and say, oh, it's become more of gambling. Well, we want people
Yeah.
to be able to buy our stuff, even if there could be limited edition. Say, hey, we're going to put 500 of these on sale, but it's not, the stuff I'm doing is not meant to have people bidding and overpaying to get.
Right.
Which I think that's what the collectible. I say that because I think it feels like what the collectible world and the hobby. They're not necessarily hobbies anymore. They're
Yeah.
investments. They're more investments and gambling, which is obviously pretty popular right now.
Yeah, I saw something listed the other day of card breakers, and they're paying ridiculous amounts of money to these people to sit on a computer and like or whatever and live break these packs and then send these out. And I'm like, I mean, I guess do whatever you can get people to
I
pay for, but it's insane to me.
Look, we used to play. I'm old. I'm old enough to say that we used to play poker with trading cards and some decent ones, but we were just with the card and it was getting crimped and crumpled and nobody cared really. And we
Yeah,
tried to keep them. And I have cards now. They're not really worth a whole lot. Some of them are, but to me that was a hobby. That was a collector. We looked forward every birthday or holiday we would get a box. And now the average family or kid can't afford to buy a box of these cards. And if they do, they're just hoping that they get, you know, hit with the big one, and then the rest of them are garbage. We used to want to we used to buy the whole set and
yeah,
keep it because even though 90% of them weren't worth anything.
yeah. So still back to the moving, found all those probably 10, 15,000 cards sitting in
Yeah.
boxes.
What do you have that's good? Anything good?
You know, during COVID, I cataloged them. There's a website you can go to
Yeah.
that you can like click and it keeps it all digital record. I have no idea. I mean, if they were all graded, they're probably worth, I mean, I have them from early mid 80s up through, 2000s. I mean, I know there's LeBron rookie cards in there. I know there's
Really?
Michael
That's
Jordan
that's a good.
baseball stuff. Yeah, it's ridiculous stuff where I'm just like, this is cool. And now I'm like, what do I even do with this stuff? And then
I
you're
don't know.
always
I
afraid
think
to
you
get ripped
sell,
off. Like,
I think you sell maybe I don't know. I don't have kids and I don't know what anyone would want to do with my collection. I think at some point I probably could sell some of them. There's very little I have that I just wouldn't sell no matter what.
right.
Uh, but most of it's not life-changing money, but it's still money. So I probably will go to like have a booth, maybe a ticket time machine booth where I could print some tickets, but also sell some memorabilia and collectibles and cards.
Yeah.
Maybe someone else wants it, but everyone knows what everything's worth now. So
Right.
different than back in the day. You like had no idea. Maybe you can get a good deal. You go to a card show or a garage sale or a flea market, and someone didn't really know what they have. Now,
Right.
it doesn't happen very often.
No, and it's kind of killed the nostalgia part of it. I mean, like you were saying, you used to play cards, play poker with your trading cards. I mean, my dad was like, we used to put these on our bike spokes. I'm like,
Yeah, of course.
I mean, cool, but like now I think everyone's buying with the idea of collecting or collecting to ultimately sell to make money down the line. And there's no scarcity, right? They're printing everything. So,
Well, I mean, there is a little bit of scarcity, but it's forced scarcity and
right, it's
only to get people
manufactured.
to chase. So I think there's I mean, I don't even know what the number would be. You'd have to talk to someone who's probably bigger into the industry than I am. But there's way more people who are collecting for the money than they are to have who enjoy it. And it's probably 3 to 1. It could be four
Right.
to one. It could be 10 to 1. I don't even know. But I think that number is very small of people who are actually still collecting that sort of stuff. And I'm a collector. I got stuff here that's worth nothing only but to me, but it means something. It's pretty cool. I got yeah, I'll keep showing you like the stuff I bought. Like this thing right here, I bought this. I was actually very lucky enough to go to the Field of Dreams game, first one that they had,
Can of corn.
and this was a beer that I bought while at that game, and so
I love that.
I have the commemorative ticket from the game somewhere, but I mean that's the type of stuff that it's just I don't know, it just means something to me, and it's
Well, it
cool.
brings back that memory.
Yeah.
Like you just lit up. You're telling this story about this beer you had at this game at Field of Dreams. Like that's so cool, like triggering that thought.
Yeah, I'm a fan. It's why I started the company. So we're really, I know, Banana Ball likes to talk about how they're fans first. I mean, I do this for the fans because I'm a fan. And so I'm probably more fanatical about some of this stuff than other people, but there's a ton of people out there who are collectors or have or love the memorabilia. I was just watching the Pee Wee Herman documentary, and he has like a museum. I don't think I have enough stuff for a museum, but I got some pretty cool stuff. I think that people it would be cool to really talk about the stories. And some of them I just posted the other day. Like I posted this on LinkedIn. I don't know what this is from.
Uh,
I know it was great, and that's why I collected it, but I can't remember what this was from. So I know that whatever event I go to, whether it's a concert, a game, a trip, I'm going to collect something. So why not give options that are unique or cool, so I could have something like this,
right.
from the Field of Dreams game, or and I got a lot of stuff. It's not really show and tell time, but I got a lot of things that I could be like, this was really cool that I got from that event. Um, so that's what we're
Yeah.
trying to do. We're trying to keep the printed memory alive, and give fans something to keep that reminds them of the time they had.
I love that. You just gave me an idea, and maybe we co-host a adult show and tell.
Look,
How fun would that
I'm
be?
ready to. I'd love to do something like that. I think, yeah, it's just really. I don't know. I got so much stuff. And the interesting thing is, like, does anyone care about that other than you? And that's okay. It doesn't have to be, the story is what it means to you, not whether or not
Right.
someone, it doesn't necessarily need to resonate with them, but it might be like, oh, you know what? I was at an event and I did have a can, it could be a Star Wars soda. I mean, they're selling Star Wars shaped Coca-Cola, which is probably half the amount of soda in it for four times the amount, and people are buying it. And like, I don't know if I would buy it if I wasn't going to collect and keep that actual thing.
Right.
And then, but how many times can you do it? But if you're a kid and you went to that, I think I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would love to see it be a lot easier to showcase like your stuff, right? Like I hosted or I produced rather a basketball tournament last year and at Disney Wide World of Sports. And and at the end of it, we got the mouse ears that say champions on it, but with, branded with that, but then also the confetti and the pictures with Mickey. And I'm like, it's so hard to shadow box stuff. Like, could I do it myself? Yeah, but guess what? I'm like a monkey with tools. I'm not graceful. It doesn't
Yeah.
look great. I wish it was easier to do stuff like that. Because what am I going to do? Put it in a box. It's going to get bent. Then it's not even worth having. As opposed to just putting like a cool little thing together, putting it on a wall in my office or
Yeah,
whatever,
so I'm going to give a shout out to a company that does that very well. Highland Mint does that very well.
Okay. Highland
They,
Mint.
yeah, but that's their own stuff. What I think
Right.
that they don't, where I think that they fail is that I think that their ideas are cool. The stuff they use can be upgraded, and we've had conversations to try and make that happen. But so the idea would be it would be your stuff, but like
Yeah.
that. And if you're artistic, you can get that. And we're you know that's down the line for us as a roadmap. We don't do a whole lot of one off things. We're mostly B2B, 4C, uh,
Mhm.
but it's on the roadmap, and that goes to something like this. Like you get some pictures, and we can print you the ticket, or you can have a ticket, or a badge, or a backstage pass. But something like that you can customize. I think it's it'd be great to have something to put all this stuff together. instead of just
Yeah.
sitting in a box. I agree, and I try and display some things. I have a hat rack there because I collect hats, and I have rows of beer cans there, and bobblehead dolls, and all of that. They're not so easy to display, but you have to have room and then the time and then the money. So to have all that together becomes a little bit more difficult. Luckily, I'm in an office that we're a memorabilia collectible, whatever you want to call it. So it kind of fits the mold for what we're doing here.
Yeah, it works
Yeah,
well.
but I should have something back here that sort of shows it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, so what if people want to get in touch with you? How should they do that?
Yeah, I've always been this way. I'm about as accessible a person as you'll ever meet. I have basically inbox zero. I don't have any
Whoa,
red.
impressive.
I don't have any red on my phone. If I show you my phone, there's no red on my phone. I reply to 99% of everything I get, even to the people who are spamming me. So email, LinkedIn. If you can find my phone number, call it. Um, yeah, any of that.
Awesome.
Go
So
ahead. Let
okay,
me ask you and answer any questions you have. See how I can help you. Let me know if you know anyone that I should be talking to. I think a lot of that's like we get a lot of requests for teams, and I'll sometimes just forward it to them and say, hey, somebody wants this. Like it's not a lot, but why wouldn't you want to be able to help, even if it's such a tiny number?
yeah. Yeah, I could see like oh my God, I'm bad at this because I have so many ideas. Like everyone I talk to, I'm like, ooh, how about this? How about this? How about this?
Yeah,
It's uh it's I'm sure it comes off as annoying, but I
yeah. I
can't help
love I love
myself.
to
So
talk about events and tickets and sports and music and everything related to Ticket Time Machine. I'm also a champion for mental health. So I'm an advocate. I'm happy to talk about that. I love to travel. I'm a foodie, all of that. But I'm also love to hear and talk to people about what they're doing because, especially if it's on the periphery, I think there's probably a good chance they can help me. But I also know that there's a chance that I can introduce them to someone. And I think we need to do more of that. We're not really fighting against each other. I used to think that way, but I don't now. And I think we all need help to get where we need to go. And so I'm always willing to help people, even when I need it for maybe more myself. I
yeah.
hope that, people will do right by you because that's what they should do, but it's probably how they got where they are. And I don't know. I welcome anyone who wants to reach out on LinkedIn. We also started an open to work and looking group on LinkedIn. So we're trying to help people get back to work. So if you're looking or you're hiring or you want to help people out, uh, join that. It's called Open to Work and Looking. Join that group. There's a lot of good resources, people posting jobs. Sport. It's not just sports. It's everything. But I have a very good connection to sports and to music and all of that. Sports is my biggest passion, but I also love. It's crazy. Like if I had to do sports or music, I kind of feel like I would maybe pick music if I could only do one and never watch sports or play music. There's just something about music and movies that sports is great, but I feel like I might pick music. I don't know. That would be a tough decision to make, which is
Yeah.
surprising because you would think for me it would be sports. It would be no question, but I don't think that way.
I think if I had to pick one side of my life or the other, like sports or corporate, and I can never work in the other one again, I would definitely, I think, pick corporate, which is a very tough thing to say because I enjoy sports, but not when I'm working in them. Like when
Yeah.
I work in sports, it's work then. It's not
Yeah,
as
it's not as
enjoyable.
glamorous as everyone thinks, although there are a lot of perks to it. You get to places you
Yeah.
might never be, but you might be missing the whole first half because you got to do this, or maybe you miss the ending because you got a deadline you got to go, and so you're kind of relying on secondhand information. But I still encourage anyone who wants to do it to get into sports. And I don't know what your advice would be, but just get anywhere because it doesn't really matter. I think you get your
Yeah.
experience. Nobody really cares if it was with the Yankees minor league team or some farm team or a local high school tournament. It's all transferable in my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, everything these days, and I think this is maybe the biggest lesson that anyone could learn is everything is transferable, repositioned, reframed, whatever. I mean, if you can sell anything. I don't believe that people can only sell one thing. If you can market almost anything. Um,
I agree. There is something about believing in it and being passionate about it. I think that helps, and that's where
yeah,
I try and tend to focus because I could have sold a lot of different things, and I did well selling some things. But if your heart's not in it, I think it's different. It doesn't mean you can't do it,
right.
but also on the flip side, it's not always that easy to get into the field of what you're extremely passionate about. I mean, I think if that's what you want to do, then just go ahead and do it and find a way in. It might not be through sales, it might be through customer service, which is a big part of sales anyway. And now,
Right.
you can just transition. It's a lot easier to
Totally.
get, you know, to move up or move sideways once you're in the industry than it is to just go into an industry from somewhere else. When you say, well, I got 20 years of sales experience, they might want someone who's had the industry experience. Not to say that you can't have it the other.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I do think one of the big things about sports is people think it's really glamorous and it's fun. And listen, it is fun. I mean, I love what I do in sports. There is nothing more exciting to me than the pressure of live event production on football game day, or getting ready to call a baseball game in the stadium, the first welcome to the fans. It's amazing. It's super fun. But there is a lot that you give up to work in sports. Sports don't happen when people are at work. They happen on nights and weekends,
Yeah,
which is when your friends and your family are going to want to get together. And Thanksgiving this year is in an arena, not
yeah,
around a table, and people forget that. And as passionate as you may be, there are sacrifices, and you cannot, I don't believe that you can have everything. You have to, at some point, you're going to have to choose one or the other. If you're okay with that, amazing. Get into sports. And you know what? If you're not okay with that, amazing. Get into sports and then get out when you're over it,
yeah.
right? It does, nothing these days has to be forever. So,
I
you
agree
get
with
to
that.
choose it every day.
Never too late to go into sports, or you go into sports and then decide you want to go elsewhere. I think
Yeah.
it shouldn't be too late. There's opportunities out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Matt, this has been super fun. I'm so glad we got to know each other even better through this, and now that people are going to get to know you and your company as well. So, thank you so much for taking the time. Everybody, this has been our latest episode of Bright Ideas with Matt Wolff from Ticket Time Machine. Thank you again, and subscribe, follow, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.